Ninth day. Do not use Qianlong, 92. Seeing a dragon in the field, benefit from meeting adults, Jiu San. A gentleman is dry all day long, as sharp as a sword at night, without any fault, 94. Jumping in the abyss, without any blame, 95. Flying dragons in the sky, seeing adults with ease. The soul pierces through the mythological world, forming a white cobra, carrying a mysterious turtle shell, predicting good or bad fortune. P.S. Sir, flying dragons are in the sky. Keywords of the novel. Myth. Dragon Lord no pop-ups, myth. Dragon Lord TXT Complete Collection Download, myth. Dragon Lord Latest Chapter Reading. Chapter 1. Hui. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Hui, Ninth Day. Do not use Qianlong. The divine light bloomed on the purple turtle shell, and the hexagrams evolved, eventually forming a line of lines. Do not use Qianlong. Although the injury has healed, the hexagram shows that I am still not suitable to go out. It is better to continue to hibernate and practice. In the deep, bottomless blue water and deep pool, a pair of indifferent silver eyes opened. It had a white snake body that was over a foot long, with legs as thick and thin as white scales, and a triangular, flattened white snake head. It looks like a large white snake hidden in a deep pool of clear water, but it is different from ordinary snakes. On its head, there are clearly two crystal clear horns protruding like white jade. It is a cobra, not an ordinary snake. Even if an ordinary snake has activated its spiritual intelligence and knows how to cultivate and even achieve enlightenment, it is still just a snake. However, the cobra is different. It is a natural dragon species, and if it can be cultivated properly, it can transform into a true dragon. The Book of Strange Things states. For 500 years, the cobra transformed into a dragon, and for 1,000 years it transformed into a dragon. The cobra first transforms into a dragon, and then into a dragon. However, if there are other creatures that can kill and devour cobras, they can also obtain the qualification of dragon species for cobras. This is also the reason for its previous injury. Because it was discovered by a crocodile dragon that had also activated its intelligence while going out, it launched an attack on it in order to kill and devour it and obtain the qualification to transform into a dragon. Although it ultimately fought back against the crocodile dragon, it was also seriously injured and had to recuperate for 3 months before recovering. In fact, the original cobra was actually dead, and it died shortly after fighting back the crocodile dragon and escaping. The current cobra is no longer the original cobra, but a soul from the earth world. He was originally an ordinary person on earth. During a trip to the Yellow River, he suddenly saw a mysterious turtle shell on the bank of the river, shining purple. The patterns on the turtle shell were densely covered, and he walked over curiously to pick it up. Then, just as he was picking up his turtle shell, an unexpected big wave in the upper reaches of the Yellow River immediately engulfed him. When he woke up again, he came to this world, where his soul merged with the body of the white cobra, which had been seriously injured and died, and became a new cobra. At the same time, the mysterious turtle shell with purple light appeared directly in his mind and consciousness. The function of the turtle shell is to divine for him once a day, to predict good or bad luck for him, and to be considered as his golden finger crossing over. With the help of the divination function of the turtle shell, he safely avoided the several searches and pursuits of the crocodile dragon after crossing over, and saved his original injuries. The past is like smoke, and the past is like a dream. Whether it was by Hui or my past self, they are all fleeting. From now on, my name is Bai Chongsheng. In 3 months, he has completely accepted and adapted to everything now, and has given himself a new name. Bai Chongsheng. The Bai surname is derived from the current body of Bai Hui, and the 2 characters, Chongsheng, are taken from the direction of one's heart. There is practice in this world, as well as all the gods, Buddhas, immortals, demons, and ghosts in the myths and legends of Bai Chongsheng's past life. It can be described as a mythological world. And now that I have coincidentally arrived at such a mythological world and traveled through it to become a cobra, it naturally demands a lifetime of freedom. Watching the lines of turtle shell divination disappear, Bai Changxing immediately restrained his mind and began to enter a state of cultivation, absorbing the water spirit energy around the deep pool. Once the flowers, plants, trees, birds, animals, insects, fish and other creatures in this world activate their spiritual intelligence, they will naturally comprehend the cultivation method of absorbing and utilizing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. And the original Bai Hui had already activated his spiritual intelligence, and Bai Changxing naturally understood the cultivation method of absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth by integrating the residual soul record of the original Bai Hui. Of course, this method of cultivation is the most basic and superficial, but Bai Changxing is already satisfied. It doesn't matter if you have some basic skills, as long as you can practice. As for the advanced cultivation methods, it's not too late to search for them after your cultivation level improves and you have a certain level of strength. The most frightening thing is that there is no cultivation method. However, regardless of the cultivation method, whether it is advanced or superficial, the essence is the same, which is to absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth for personal use. However, the aura of heaven and earth is just a general term, and there are many kinds of aura, the most common of which is the so-called essence of the sun and the moon, and then there is the aura of the earth, the aura of the water, and so on. The spiritual energy of different heaven and earth has different attributes. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth absorbed by Bai Changxing's cultivation is the water spiritual energy, because cobras belong to the dragon genus and reside in the water all year round. They are naturally close to the water path. As Bai Changxing practiced, the spiritual energy of the water in the entire deep pool instantly seemed to be pulled, forming invisible spiritual streams that converged towards him and slowly formed a water vortex around him. Bai Changxing's current cultivation level is to cultivate the fifth layer of Qi. Practicing Qi is the first great realm of cultivation, divided into 9 layers, absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth into the body and refining it into spiritual energy, nourishing oneself. This realm does not significantly improve one's strength, and only minor spells can be learned. Often, the improvement brought about by cultivation cannot make up for the power gap between different spiritual races. For example, comparing a rabbit that has turned its spiritual intelligence into a spirit with a wolf that has turned its spiritual intelligence into a spirit, even if the rabbit has already cultivated to the 9th level of Qi cultivation, and the wolf has just started to cultivate its spiritual intelligence to the 1st level of Qi cultivation. But even a rabbit that has become a spirit cannot beat a wolf that has become a spirit. Only by practicing above the level of Qi cultivation and breaking through the realm of Qi cultivation can one truly experience a qualitative change in cultivation. At that time, the spiritual energy in the body transforms into magic, and there is tremendous power in every move and gesture. At the same time, at this level, even demons and ghosts can transform into human beings. The realm of Qi cultivation only belongs to the first basic stage of cultivation. Fairies and ghosts in this realm can only be considered as some unremarkable little monsters. Well, Bai Changxing can only be considered an unremarkable little monster now. However, he is extraordinary and a born dragon. Even if he is just a small demon or monster in the realm of Qi cultivation, his strength is definitely stronger than that of fairies and ghosts above the 9th level. One day, he will successfully absorb the spiritual charm of rivers flowing into the sea and transform into a cobra-like dragon. At that time, his footsteps will be even more extraordinary, and he will only be one step away from the real dragon. Of course, thinking about these is still a bit far away. The top priority is to strive to cultivate and break through the realm of Qi cultivation. Only by breaking through the realm of Qi cultivation can one truly break away from the realm of non-mainstream monsters and have the initial strength to establish oneself in this world. 9th day. Do not use Qianlong. The next day, divine light bloomed on the turtle shell, and the hexagram evolved, finally displaying the same hexagram again. Do not use the hidden dragon. Consciousness means that the hidden dragon should not move or do anything. It is best to meditate and hibernate. Bai Changxing immediately continued to stay in the deep pool to absorb the spiritual energy of water and practice subconsciously. And in the following days, this hexagram continued for over 2 months. Bai Changxing spent just over 2 months quietly hibernating in the pond for meditation. Anyway, he was also the undisputed ruler in the entire pond, and nothing could threaten him except for cultivation. When hungry, he ate fish and shrimp, and when tired, he slept directly. The Taoist practice is steadily increasing with daily cultivation, but it is very slow. If we continue to follow this speed, it may take several years to break through to the 6th level of Qi cultivation, let alone above Qi cultivation. No wonder it is said that the cobra will transform into a dragon for 500 years. At this speed, Bai Changxing felt that he would have to wait 500 years to transform into a dragon. But 500 years is so long that Sun Wukong was rescued from Wuji Mountain by Tang monk. And after 500 years, who knows what will happen during this period, we still need to find ways to speed up the process. Practice knows no time, neither winter nor summer knows the year. In the blink of an eye, more than 2 months had passed. During this period, in the surrounding mountains and forests outside the deep pool where Bai Changxing was located, a crocodile dragon, which was over a foot long and covered in black scales, sharp teeth, and full of demonic aura, circled daily to search for Bai Changxing's breath. And this alligator dragon is exactly the one that injured Bai Changxing before and wanted to devour it. Because as long as you kill and devour Bai Changxing, it can obtain the qualification to transform into a dragon and further its cultivation. But after searching around for more than 2 months without finding Bai Changxing's breath, the crocodile dragon left this area and searched for other places. At this moment, as the crocodile dragon left, the hexagram of the turtle shell finally changed. 92. Seeing the dragon in the field, I will benefit from seeing the adults. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Spirit Acupoint. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Spirit Acupoint, 92. Seeing the dragon in the field, I will benefit from seeing the adults. The adults in this hexagram can refer to Bai Changxing himself or others. But whether referring to Bai Changxing himself or others, the meaning of this hexagram is to help him achieve something. As for how to do it, I won't know everything, but continuing to hibernate and meditate is definitely not enough. It seems like we should go out for a walk. This is also in line with Bai Changxing's intention. In the deep, bottomless pool of clear water, a white snake head with 2 horns quickly emerged from beneath the water surface. It first looked around the surface of the pool with caution, confirming that there was no danger, and then its entire body crawled out, transforming into a large white snake that was over 10 feet long. It is none other than Bai Changxing. Surrounded by mountains on both sides of the deep pool, the mountains stretch endlessly, with various green ancient trees and lush greenery. From time to time, various apes, birds, beasts, and insects can be heard singing in the mountains and forests. Bai Changxing looked around briefly and finally decided to take a look downstream. The cobra is a species of dragon that is destined by heaven. It is born to fit the path of water, and compared to mountains and forests, water is naturally more suitable for him. Bai Changxing followed the water flow all the way up, without a clear goal, and had a wandering attitude of walking and looking upstream casually. The scenery along the way is breathtaking, with countless yao flowers, exotic grasses, and rare fruits and trees on both sides of the water bank, ancient trees and strange vines on the mountain, flying peaks and cliffs. In the sky, there are often groups of spirit birds, all of which are a magnificent realm that Bai Changxing has never seen before, as if he has been in a legendary mythological fairyland. Of course, amidst its splendor, there is also a great crisis, especially in the endless mountains and forests where the law of the jungle prevails. There are countless wolves, insects, tigers, and leopards. Fortunately, Bai Changxing is extraordinary and has already embarked on spiritual cultivation. Although he may not be considered the top presence in this mountain forest, He is no longer at the bottom of the food chain, and there are not many who can threaten him, especially in the water. On the contrary, it itself has become the upper layer of the food chain for most ordinary creatures. Along the way, the fish, shrimp, crabs, and turtles in the river were all trembling with fear. However, Bai Changsheng is not hungry for the time being, so he didn't pay much attention to these fish, shrimp, crabs, and turtles. Following the water flow for about 10 miles, at this point. Bang, 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 the deafening sound of water rushing upstream suddenly sounded like a huge waterfall deep pool. Upon hearing the sound, Bai Changsheng swam away and climbed up a steep slope, only to see a circular deep pool with a diameter of several hundred meters. The water in the pool was emerald green and could not be seen at the bottom. Above it was a 100-foot waterfall that gushed out and poured down from a cave on the mountain wall. Looking up, it looked like the water of the Tianhe River from 9 heavens under the sunlight. One can even see rainbow after rainbow hanging in the sky above the waterfall, magnificent and magnificent. What a rich water spirit, this cave. Bai Changsheng's gaze froze. Most people who come here may only be amazed by the magnificent scenery before them and marvel at the incredible craftsmanship of nature. But as soon as it arrived here, with its innate sensitivity to the water spirit energy, it immediately felt the richness of the water spirit energy here. Compared to downstream, the water spirit energy here was at least more than twice as strong. If it were to cultivate here, its speed would definitely increase by twice. Moreover, with his keen sense, Bai Changsheng could sense that this water spirit energy seemed to surge out of the cave at the source of the waterfall on the mountain wall. It's like a continuously gushing spiritual spring there. Isn't it a spiritual hole? Bai Changsheng held his head high and looked towards the cave that surged out of the waterfall, then looked around at the surrounding mountain walls on both sides. The mountain wall is steep and straight, but there are many gaps and flowers and plants, so it is not difficult for snakes to climb up. Without any hesitation, Bai Changsheng chose a position and crawled upwards directly. If there was really a spiritual cave inside the waterfall, it would definitely be a great creation for it, which could greatly increase his cultivation speed. Soon, Bai Changsheng's white figure appeared on the cliff next to the waterfall. If someone were here, they would surely be able to see such a scene of Bai Hui climbing 100 zhang cliff. After spending nearly half an hour, Bai Changsheng finally climbed up the cliff and arrived at the entrance of the waterfall. As soon as he arrived at the entrance of the cave, he suddenly felt a strong aura of water spirit rushing towards him, filling the air. Just taking a sip of the air gave Bai Changsheng a faint feeling of spiritual progress. This greatly boosted Bai Changsheng's spirit, and he quickly continued to explore the cave inside. At the same time, his heart became more alert to prevent any sudden danger. After all, if it was really a spiritual cave, it was difficult to guarantee that something would have occupied this place. The cave is very large, with a width of over 10 zhang and a height of several zhang. The pen runs straight into the depths, and Bai Changsheng slowly crawls inside along the stone wall on the right side of the cave. In the middle, there is a huge rushing water flow. As it deepened, the light became increasingly dim, but after about 100 meters, the line of sight suddenly became clear. A huge cave, the size of several football fields, appeared in front of Bai Changsheng. In the middle of the cave, there was a huge platform, and the water below the platform was like a spring, which was the source of the waterfall, a huge water eye. And around the cave platform, there are patches of yao flowers, exotic grasses, and rare fruit trees, resembling a world within the cave. But the entire cave has a unique sky, with a circular wellhead above the top that connects directly to the outside world, allowing sunlight to shine down from above, giving birth to this strange cave. The water spiritual energy in the cave was even more intense and unusual. Bai Changsheng carefully felt it, at least several times more than the outside world, like a water spiritual cave, and the source of spiritual energy was the surging water flow under the cave platform. Bai Changsheng speculated that the water eye under this platform may be connected to a water spiritual vein deep underground, which is why this water spiritual cave appeared from here. For Bai Changsheng, it is also an excellent place for cultivation. If he practices here, his cultivation speed is definitely several times faster than outside, and one day's work can rival several days of external cultivation. Is there anyone here? But soon, Bai Changsheng's gaze became wary again, as he noticed signs of human habitation in the cave. In the middle of the platform in the cave, there is a stone table and a stone bed. But it seems that no one has lived there for a long time, and the stone tables and beds are covered in dust. Bai Changsheng slowly climbed onto the platform and raised his head to the stone table. At this moment, he saw a jade slip placed on the table, with a line of words left next to it. Having entered the true world for 100 years, it is lamentable that knowing one's destiny is endless. As the deadline approaches, I aspire to travel far away in the dust and explore the world in search of opportunities. I will leave a piece of jade slips and techniques as a gift to those who are destined. This is the former cultivator's cave, but as the deadline approaches, he has already left Qinyu to seek a breakthrough. Looking at the messages on the stone table, Bai Changsheng suddenly realized. Immediately, his gaze turned to the jade slips on the stone table, revealing a hint of scorching heat. Because according to the message on the stone table, if there is no mistake, then this jade slip will contain a cultivation technique. If that's the case, not only have we found this spiritual acupoint today, but we have also obtained a cultivation technique, which is simply a creation. Quickly, Bai Changsheng suppressed his joy and looked at the jade slips on the stone table with a flickering expression. Then he respectfully approached the stone table and learned to bow with a snake-like posture. Tonight, by chance, I came here and received a gift from my senior. There was no way to repay it, so I had to bow 3 times to thank you. Speaking, Bai Changsheng kowtowed 3 times to the stone table with his snake body. At this moment, Bai Changsheng finished his 3 bows, and the jade slips on the stone table seemed to have received approval, turning into a stream of light and disappearing into Bai Changsheng's eyebrows. At the same time, the messages on the stone table also disappeared. In an instant, Bai Changsheng felt a large amount of unfamiliar information pouring into his soul consciousness, which was the inheritance of the techniques on the jade slips. P.S. New books for newcomers, seeking collection, follow.up, recommendation, and support. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Xuanshui Jing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Qianlong Jing. It took Bai Changsheng half an hour to digest all the information on the inheritance of the techniques on the jade slips. This cultivation method is called Xuanshui Jing, which is a water attribute cultivation method that perfectly fits the cultivation of Bai Changsheng. However, this is also within reason. After all, if the original owner of the cultivation method can cultivate in such a spiritual cave with abundant water spiritual energy, then the cultivation method must also be compatible with the water attribute cultivation method. Otherwise, if the cultivation techniques and attributes do not match, even the spiritual acupoints can only be filled with admiration, and even forced cultivation can have the opposite effect. At the same time, 2 water attribute spells are also recorded in this cultivation method, 1 water control spell and 1 water escape spell. What a great opportunity! Bai Changsheng's face couldn't help but show a happy expression. This time can be said to be a great opportunity and great fortune for him. Not only did he find such a super spiritual cave with abundant water spiritual energy, but he also obtained a water attribute cultivation method that suits him. This is definitely a qualitative leap for his cultivation. Indeed, I saw the dragon in the field and benefited from seeing the adults. Today, I should go out and make a difference. If I continue to hibernate and practice, I will definitely not encounter this opportunity. Bai Changsheng was delighted and felt that he had completely found the correct way to use turtle shells. By utilizing the divination function of the turtle shell, one can fully make the most correct choice of the day, whether to practice or go out, through the divination function of the turtle shell. As the saying goes, 1 destiny, 2 fortunes, and 3 feng shui. Destiny is predetermined and cannot be changed from the moment of birth. For example, some people are destined to be wealthy and wealthy from birth, while others are born at the bottom of society. These are all predetermined and unchangeable from birth, but fate can be changed. As long as one can grasp the opportunity and luck, step by step, they can naturally rise up. With this turtle shell, Bai Changsheng can use the divination function of the turtle shell to repeatedly seize opportunities and make the most correct choices in his life. Subsequently, Bai Changsheng spent another hour thoroughly inspecting the entire spiritual acupoint inside and outside several times to ensure that there were no safety hazards before settling down completely in the spiritual acupoint. There is such a water spiritual cave suitable for his cultivation, so he naturally won't return to his original pool. Moreover, Bai Changsheng has reason to believe that there should be a groundwater spiritual vein connected to the water flowing out of the cave platform, otherwise how could this cave form such a spiritual cave with abundant water spiritual energy? If that's the case, finding it next would be another great achievement for him. However, he is not in a hurry to explore now. He has just obtained the Xuanshui Jing and needs some time to digest it. After officially practicing and mastering the spells on the Xuanshui Jing, he can explore the spiritual meridians without delay. At that time, he can also have some more means of self-protection in the water. The Great Way is intangible, and water is often tangible. The heart is as clear as water, and clear water is the heart. It helps to relieve the mind and release the spirit, and there is no such thing as being soulless and having the highest quality. The Great Way is heaven-made. In the spiritual acupoint, Bai Changsheng was born on the platform and meditated, starting to operate the Xuanshui classic. Once the technique is activated, the rich water spirit energy in the entire cave instantly converges from all directions towards Bai Changsheng, and even forms a visible spiritual vortex centered around Bai Changsheng. This cultivation speed is several times faster than before. Bai Changsheng can clearly feel the speed of spiritual energy growth in his body during his cultivation at this moment, which is more than 10 times faster than the speed of his previous cultivation. Originally, at his previous cultivation speed, it would take several years to break through to the 6th level of Qi cultivation. However, now, at this speed, Bai Changsheng feels that it may only take another 3 or 4 months for him to break through. The improvement brought by cultivation techniques and spiritual acupoints is too great. Firstly, there is the spiritual acupoint. Compared to the outside, the water spirit Qi contained in this spiritual acupoint is at least 5 or 6 times stronger, which naturally brings an increase in cultivation speed. Next is the Xuanshui Jing. Compared to the method of absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth that Bai Changsheng had previously mastered through his own spiritual intelligence, the Xuanshui Jing is more than several times more advanced, and the speed of cultivation is naturally incomparable to the method of absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth before Bai Changsheng. Now when the two are added together, it directly takes off Bai Changsheng's cultivation speed. At the same time, with the operation of the Xuanshui Jing, Bai Changsheng clearly felt that not only had his cultivation speed improved, but also the spiritual energy he had originally cultivated in his body had been refined again, becoming more and more pure. In this way, Bai Changsheng settled down in his spiritual cave and secretly practiced the Xuanshui Jing every day. Firstly, it took a month to completely transform the spiritual energy in Bai Changsheng's body into the spiritual energy cultivated in the Xuanshui Jing. At this time, the quality of the spiritual energy in Bai Changsheng's body was also greatly improved, directly purifying several times more. Subsequently, Bai Changsheng began to practice the spell water control and water escape techniques recorded in the Xuanshui Jing, which took another month. In total, it took about 2 months from the beginning of practicing the Xuanshui Jing. 2 months later. While in the Lingxue cave, Bai Changsheng propped his upper body horizontally on the platform with his head raised, but his tail gently stirred into the water and instantly turned into a water ball with a diameter of over 1 meter. Bai Changsheng used his tail to pull it out of the water, and then his tail gently shook the water ball. The water ball suddenly flew up and then suspended in mid-air to stop, resting for several breaths. Finally, with Bai Chang's business intention, the water ball exploded from the air and fell back into the water. My current water control technique should be considered a minor achievement. Bai Changxing muttered to himself. In 2 months, he not only completed the conversion of all spiritual energy in his body, but also entered the beginner level of water control and water escape techniques recorded in the Xuanshui Jing, and reached the stage of minor completion. Water control is a type of water control spell. Nowadays, with the use of water control, it is possible to create water balls and water arrows at will. However, these are temporarily limited in damage and are considered mediocre. The water balls and water arrows produced may not even penetrate a wooden board. Of course, don't underestimate water control skills just because of this. At present, the water control technique only has this little power, mainly because Bai Changxing's cultivation level is too low. If his cultivation level is strong enough in the future, he can use water control technique to overturn rivers and seas, and his power will not be weaker than those powerful divine powers. And even now, water control still has killing power, just underwater. The water ball and water arrow produced by water control techniques on the surface are not very powerful, but if they go underwater, they can use water control techniques to create powerful underwater currents or even underwater vortices with the help of water potential, which can roll up hundreds of pounds of boulders. Generally, ships on the water surface can now be easily overturned and pulled into the water by using water control techniques to create undercurrent vortices. It can be said that if Bai Changxing wants to be evil nowadays, he is already a very qualified water demon using water control techniques. The water escape technique is a water running escape technique. Currently, if Bai Changxing uses all his strength, he can achieve 100 meters in an instant, which is absolutely necessary for killing people, setting fire, and running for life. To put it bluntly, with the mastery of these 2 spells, Bai Changxing's strength is already considerable as long as he is not ambushed on the shore in the water, whether it is against enemies or running away. Even if it is a monster on the shore that does not have water magic, even a monster that transforms into a regular Qi cultivation realm may not be able to kill it. After these 2 months of cultivation, Bai Changxing has also made significant progress in his cultivation. If he continues at this speed, he will have at most 2 more months to further step into the 6th level of Qi cultivation. For a moment, Bai Changxing couldn't help feeling good. Having traveled through such a long period of time, in such a mythological world, he finally felt a sense of security today. The hexagrams of turtle shells have always been ordinary during this period. A few days later, the hexagram of the turtle shell still had nothing to pay attention to, and Bai Changxing continued to meditate in his spiritual cave every day, eating fish and shrimp when hungry. But after these few days, the hexagram of the turtle shell finally showed a change that caught Bai Changxing's attention. Jiu San. A gentleman is dry all day long, and at night he is sharp and blameless. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Alligator Dragon. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Alligator Dragon, Jiu San. A gentleman is dry all day long, and at night he is sharp and blameless. Looking at the newly evolved hexagrams and lines, Bai Changxing's gaze immediately froze. A gentleman is dry all day long, sharp and blameless at night. The translated meaning of this line is that a gentleman works hard day and night, but must also remain vigilant, so that even if there is danger, it can be turned into safety. Danger, so the next few days may even be today, and there may be some danger approaching. However, the danger coefficient should not be very high. According to the line, as long as I can remain vigilant, I can turn the danger into a reality. Can it be that crocodile dragon demon? Bai Changxing couldn't help but think of the alligator dragon demon who discovered his identity and was determined to devour him to obtain the qualification to transform into a dragon. This possibility is undoubtedly the greatest. After all, as a dragon species that has not yet grown up, it is still a dragon species that anyone who eats it can obtain the qualification to transform into a dragon. In the demon world of the jungle, it is undoubtedly a huge piece of fat. Since the crocodile dragon demon has already discovered it and has the strength to eat it, as long as it doesn't succeed, it will definitely not give up easily. Of course, there are also other possibilities. After all, in this boundless deep mountain and vast expanse, any demon or ghost can exist. However, one thing that reassures Bai Changsheng is that this threat should not be significant. As long as he remains cautious, he can turn danger into safety. After a slight thought in his heart, Bai Changsheng twisted his body and slowly crawled out of the spiritual cave, preparing to guard and explore around the cave. Half an hour later, a fierce and demonic crocodile dragon slowly crawled on the ground in the shore forest next to the blue water pool below the spiritual cave. Its body is over a foot long, with a thick layer of black scales covering its back and sides. Its crimson eyes give off a sinister feeling of wanting to devour someone at a glance. Wherever they passed, whether it was ordinary birds and beasts or small monsters that had already activated their spiritual intelligence, they were all frightened and scared, scattered and fled. It is indeed this alligator dragon. Looking at the alligator dragon appearing in front of him, Bai Changsheng's eyes immediately froze and recognized it. It was not just the alligator dragon that had discovered that he wanted to eat him, but also what it was. And the crocodile dragon, in fact, is what Bai Changsheng said in his previous life. However, the crocodile dragon in front of him is no longer an ordinary crocodile dragon, but a crocodile dragon demon with spiritual intelligence and high cultivation. Not only is its body strength much greater than that of an ordinary crocodile dragon, but it is also covered with a thick layer of black scales, which is astonishing in defense, and its demonic aura is exceptionally fierce. This crocodile dragon demon is still looking for itself. Quickly, Bai Changsheng made another judgment from the every move of the crocodile dragon demon, occasionally bowing his head to sniff and then looking up and left and right to determine the direction, clearly still pursuing himself through the scent. Indeed, it has been several months since the thief's heart never died, and this crocodile dragon demon has not given up searching for it yet. Unconsciously, Bai Changsheng's eyes also burst with a murderous intent. How can a crocodile dragon, who has already discovered its identity and wants to eat it, feel at ease if it is not removed? Coincidentally, his own injury is stable now and he has also learned the Xuanshui Jing. Not only has he improved his cultivation, but he has also mastered the 2 spells of water control and water escape. If he can introduce this alligator dragon into the water, he has at least a 90% chance of winning. Taking a glance at the blue water pool with a diameter of hundreds of zhang and a depth of hundreds of meters around, Bai Changsheng suddenly had a plan in his heart. This Bai Shui Tan is the giant pond below the Lingshui waterfall. The name Bai Shui Tan was chosen by Bai Changsheng himself in the past few days. On the shore, the crocodile dragon's crimson eyes flickered, and its breathing grew heavier as it detected the scent on the white cobra's body, which grew stronger and stronger. That white cobra has been here before, and it won't be long. Its breath is very fresh and strong. This indicates that the white cobra is likely nearby. At this point, the crimson eyes of the crocodile dragon couldn't help but heat up. Finally, it was found. That white cobra is a natural dragon species. As long as you eat it, you can obtain the qualification to transform into a dragon. Once you successfully transform into a dragon in the future, you will be able to take off your demon body and soar for 9 days. It's hard to say that you can also be conferred the title of an immortal class by the heavenly court, which is incomparable to ordinary demons. Although it is named Qianlong with the word dragon in its name, it is still just an ordinary demon, thousands of miles away from the real dragon. That white cobra must be obtained. The breathing of the crocodile dragon demon became heavy. The last time it let the white snake escape, it still feels heartbroken and regretful. This time, it must not miss again. Following the scent, the crocodile dragon demon finally locked in front of the blue water pool. At this moment, a white snake head with 2 horns cautiously emerged from under the water in the center of the pond, with its eyes perfectly aligned with the eyes of the crocodile dragon demon by the tan side. It immediately seemed as if it had been frightened and retreated underwater. I found you. In the crimson eyes of the crocodile dragon demon, a fierce and cruel smile appeared instantly, followed by a plop without thinking and rushing into the water. Bang! Quickly, in the bottomless blue water pool, the undercurrent surged rapidly. Two huge figures, one black and one white, quickly chased and fled deep in the water. The white figure was clearly Bai Changsheng, wriggling and running ahead with a white snake body that was over 10 feet long, revealing a panicked appearance. The black figure is exactly the crocodile dragon demon, with a pair of crimson eyes tightly locked on Bai Changsheng, all with a cruel and fierce expression, like a fierce beast staring at its prey. Quickly, the two chased and fled to the bottom of the pond, facing a sharp boulder several meters high. When Bai Changsheng saw the giant stone, his eyes lit up, and then he waved his tail and walked around it. The crocodile dragon demon following closely behind did not hesitate or think much, and directly caught up. But just as the body of the crocodile dragon demon approached the boulder, buzz! Bai Changsheng suddenly activated the water control technique. Under the control of Bai Changsheng's spell, a dark current suddenly rose from the originally calm water bottom, forming a vortex with a diameter of over 1 zhang. It immediately enveloped the crocodile dragon demon and pulled its body towards the sharp point on the boulder. The crocodile dragon demon, who was devoted to chasing Bai Changsheng, had no defense at all, and the pulling force of this undercurrent vortex was also very strong. Bang! With only a muffled sound, the entire several-meter-high boulder was violently shaken by the impact. The huge body of the crocodile dragon demon was directly pulled by the vortex and fiercely collided with the boulder, instantly shattering a large area of black scales on its waist. A large amount of crimson blood spurted out from the waist of the crocodile dragon demon at the first moment, and there was a bloody wound that was nearly a foot long, flowing like a torrent of blood. Roar! The crocodile dragon demon suddenly roared with pain, and a pair of crimson eyes looked angrily at Bai Changsheng in the distance. Bai Changsheng remained silent and once again urged his spiritual energy to use the water control technique to create an undercurrent vortex that enveloped the crocodile dragon and collided with the boulder. Take advantage of your illness to kill you. Bai Changsheng did not hesitate at all. This kind of life and death struggle cannot tolerate any hesitation, let alone mercy. Otherwise, it is very likely that one will die. The crocodile dragon demon immediately resisted and wanted to break free, with its entire body and 4 short legs vigorously kicking up. However, unfortunately, it was in the water and could not rely on any force. In addition, the underground vortex was getting bigger and bigger, and the mud and stones around the bottom of the pond were rolled up in large pieces, enveloping the crocodile dragon demon. Bang! 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 The water control technique was pushed to the extreme by Bai Changsheng, controlling the body of the crocodile dragon demon, which was enveloped by the undercurrent vortex, to collide with the boulder. The created dark vortex also grew larger and larger, quickly expanding from a diameter of 1 zhang to several zhang. In addition to the several zhang boulder, all the mud and stones within 10 zhang of the surrounding pool bottom were also swept up and sucked into the vortex, then turned into dense attacks and fell on the body of the crocodile dragon demon. Soon, the bottom of this pond was stained red with the blood of the crocodile dragon demon, and there was no intact piece of skin, flesh, scales, and armor on its body. Skin and flesh are torn apart, and blood is drenched. The strength and breath of its struggle also weakened, until it was on the brink of death. It never imagined that as a predator, it could become food instead. Click! Then, with a crisp sound of bone fracture, everything came to an end. The entire spine of the crocodile dragon demon fractured from the middle, and its vitality was completely cut off. P.S. Cute news seeking support. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Essence and Blood, Breakthrough. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Essence and Blood, Breakthrough. Bang! Just in case, at the moment of approaching the body of the crocodile dragon, Bai Changsheng once again pulled his tail on the dragon's head, causing its entire skull to shatter and its brain to flow horizontally. Solved. Bai Changxing finally breathed a sigh of relief and completely relaxed, and at the same time, his heart was also relieved, finally resolving this threat. Immediately, Bai Changxing approached the body of the crocodile dragon again and began to extract and refine the essence and blood of the crocodile dragon demon. Essence blood is the essence of life. The more powerful the life, the larger the essence of life contained in the essence blood, especially the alligator dragon demon, which has started the cultivation of intelligence to absorb the spirit of heaven and earth, can increase accomplishments after refining, and basically has no side effects. Therefore, in the demon world, there are often some powerful spirits and ghosts who kill and devour other weaker spirits and ghosts. The essence is to devour the essence of other spirits and ghosts, refine their life essence to improve their accomplishments. However, this approach is harmful to heaven and completely self-destructive. It is a pure demonic way that only some unscrupulous demons will do. Bai Changxing is not a member of the demonic realm, and he does not want to be chased and killed by countless righteous people one day. However, as an enemy and already killed, the alligator dragon demon's essence and blood cannot be wasted. It took half an hour to directly extract and refine the essence and blood of the crocodile dragon demon. Buzz, the spiritual energy in Bai Changxing's body also surged instantly, and in an instant, it seemed to break through an invisible barrier, causing the spiritual energy in his body to surge nearly twice before stopping. Breakthrough has been made. The sixth layer of Qi cultivation. Bai Changxing's eyes opened, and a hint of joy flashed uncontrollably. I didn't expect that this time not only solved the threat of the crocodile dragon demon, but also took it to the next level of cultivation. This is undoubtedly an unexpected joy. Bai Changxing made a simple estimate that the improvement brought by refining the blood of the crocodile dragon demon's spirit this time is not small, comparable to his months of hard work in the spiritual cave. If we follow the cultivation speed before finding the spiritual cave through obtaining the Xuanshui classic, it would be equivalent to several years of hard work. Perhaps this is what is called the coexistence of danger and gain. With a thought, Bai Changxing turned his head and glanced at the corpse of the crocodile dragon demon behind him. He stopped staying and directly emerged from the water to return to his spiritual cave. Next, you should be able to practice with peace of mind for a period of time. The crocodile dragon demon has been eliminated, and as long as it is not discovered by any other threatening spirits or ghosts, Bai Changxing can basically rest assured. Moreover, this spiritual cave is located on a 100-zhang cliff and is connected to underground water veins. Even if ordinary fairies and ghosts discover it, it is difficult to threaten him. Sha sha, the twisting body rubbed against the ground, making the rustling sound of snake-like creatures crawling. Bai Changxing quickly returned to his spiritual cave and then practiced for several hours to stabilize his newly broken cultivation. Soon, Bai Changxing's gaze fell on the water eye under the platform of the spiritual cave. The majestic water flow of the entire waterfall emerges from the water eye under the spiritual cave platform, accompanied by a large amount of water spirit energy. The water spiritual energy in this spiritual acupoint comes from the water flow of the water eye, which is obviously connected to a water vein or even a water spiritual vein. If there is really a water spiritual vein connected inside, finding it would be another great creation for me. And now that I have achieved a breakthrough in cultivation, I have also mastered both the water control technique and water escape technique. Perhaps I can go in and explore it. When Bai Changxing first arrived at this spiritual cave, he had the intention to explore inside the water eye and speculate that there might be a water spiritual vein connected inside. After all, the water spiritual energy in this spiritual cave comes from inside the water eye. However, at that time, he was worried that his strength was not enough and he did not put it into action. But now he not only has a breakthrough in cultivation, but also has mastered water control and water escape techniques. In addition, he is a natural dragon species with strong affinity for water and the water path. Without hesitation, the water is basically his home ground. In this situation, Bai Changxing felt that he could delve deeper into the water eye. However, for safety reasons, it's better to wait until tomorrow to make a divination before taking action. Soon, the night passed. As soon as dawn broke in the morning, Bai Changxing used his turtle shell to divine the exploration operation he planned to enter the water eye today. June 4, Qianlong, without blame or reputation. The purple divine light on the turtle shell bloomed and evolved into hexagrams, and the line inscriptions quickly emerged. Bai Changxing's heart suddenly relaxed. Although this hexagram is not good, it cannot be considered bad and belongs to the type of neither good nor bad. The meaning of Yao Ci is also very simple. Qianlong, without blame or reputation. Simply translated, it means that as long as one remains cautious, there will be no dangerous mistakes. Although it may not be considered an auspicious hexagram, it is not an inauspicious one. You can explore it. Bai Changxing also immediately made a decision. Although the hexagram was not his most anticipated auspicious one, he felt that as long as it was not an ominous one, he could enter and explore. The hexagram mainly serves as a reference, but how to choose and ultimately develop to which stage depends on your own choices and actions. Just like yesterday's hexagram, the line words only remind that there is danger, and being careful can turn it into danger. In the end, Bai Changxing not only eliminated the threat of the crocodile dragon, but also improved his cultivation level, which can be said to have not only solved the danger but also gained benefits. So good or bad luck lies in heaven, and success lies in man. The hexagram can serve as a reference, but the specific outcome depends on the individual's own actions and planning. Otherwise, if one does not act on their own, even the auspicious hexagram may still have nothing to gain at the moment. Wow! At the surging water spring, Bai Changxing's body, which was over 10 feet long, jumped into the water without hesitation. As soon as he entered the spring, Bai Changxing felt the surging and turbulent water rushing towards his face, almost sweeping it out with the flow. Moreover, with his strong water nature, he was able to stabilize his body, but he was unable to enter the water eye. The water flow at this water eye is incredibly turbulent, even 1,000 pounds of giant stones have to be washed away here, and ordinary creatures, even water demons, may have to be washed away and find it difficult to stand here. Bai Changxing immediately exerted his water control technique, wrapping himself in an undercurrent, and the impact of the water flow on him suddenly decreased. Fortunately, I have learned the technique of controlling water. Otherwise, let alone exploring, I wouldn't be able to get into this water eye. Using the technique of controlling water, the undercurrent enveloped his body, and Bai Changxing slowly infiltrated into the water eye. The entrance of the water eye is a straight and long corridor, surrounded by stone walls, and the water flow is extremely turbulent. Fortunately, it was Bai Changxing, who was born with a strong dragon seed and learned water control techniques. If someone else were to switch to someone else, they would not be able to enter unless it was a cultivation above Qi cultivation. Moreover, even if it was above Qi cultivation, only water demons would have the opportunity to enter, and those dry ducks on land would have no idea. Along the water eye passage, we delved deeper for hundreds of meters, and our vision suddenly became clear. The surrounding space suddenly expanded, like a huge underground water world. The width of the space is hundreds of zhang on both sides, and deep down, there is no end at a glance. The cold and clear water flow fills the entire space. Looking back, the Shuiyan corridor where Bai Changxing had originally entered seemed like an underwater cave. At the same time, Bai Changxing also felt it clearly. The water-walking spiritual energy has become even stronger. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Water Spirit. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Water Spirit. The dim underground space, with boundless water, even with Bai Changxing's gaze, could not reach the end at a glance, like an endless and isolated underwater ocean. Darkness, tranquility, closure, profoundness, oppression, boundless darkness, and overflowing water. This is the most intuitive feeling for Bai Changxing at this moment. It is unimaginable for someone with a closed phobia or deep-sea fear to come here. To be honest, at this moment, even Bai Changxing's heart is a bit hairy because this underground water body is too large, so large that it gives it a sense of insignificance, and at the same time, it is full of unknowns, and unknowns are often the greatest fear. Who knows if there might be any terrifying creatures hidden in such a vast underground water body? Bai Changxing dared not take it lightly and remained highly vigilant. At the same time, he used water control techniques to create a layer of undercurrent to wrap around himself as an automatic protective shield, which made Bai Changxing feel much more at ease. After stabilizing his mind, Bai Changxing slowly continued to move towards the depths of the water flow. The deeper he moved towards the water flow, the clearer Bai Changxing could feel that the spiritual energy contained in the water flow became stronger. Along the way, he also saw many creatures, all of which were fish. However, these fish were different from the outside world, and their body sizes were generally much larger. Even the smaller ones were generally over 1 meter long, and there were even some giant fish that were over 10 meters long, much larger than Bai Changxing's current body size. Even Bai Changxing saw a giant fish king that was over 3 zhang long, which was even bigger than the killer whale in the previous life. When he saw it, Bai Changxing was immediately startled, afraid that the other party would swallow him in one gulp. Fortunately, although this giant fish king has a large body size, he has not activated his spiritual intelligence to become a spirit, nor does he have much aggression. He directly passes over Bai Changxing's head. Half an hour later, Bai Changxing had already traveled dozens of miles deep along the source of the water flow. The giant fish around have basically disappeared, and the temperature in the water is getting colder and starting to become bone-chilling. But similarly, the water contains a water spirit energy that has become incredibly rich, almost comparable to the concentration of water spirit energy in the spiritual cave. This is somewhat surprising. You should know that these water currents are constantly flowing, which means that the spiritual energy in the water flow is constantly flowing. The water spirit qi in the spiritual acupoint is continuously accumulated through the interception and storage effect of the spiritual acupoint, which makes the water spirit qi reach an astonishing level of richness. Compared to the concentration of water spirit qi in the water flow in the spiritual acupoint, the concentration of water spirit qi stored in the spiritual acupoint is at least several times higher than that in the water flow. However, here, the concentration of water spiritual energy contained only in the water flow is almost as fast as that in the spiritual acupoint. How amazing this is! If someone who understands the formation artificially arranges here, they may be able to directly create a small paradise. However, this also made Bai Changxing more convinced that the source of this water flow was closely connected to a water spiritual vein, otherwise the increasingly strong water spiritual energy could not be explained. Bai Changxing continues to move forward. At this moment, a group of water blue dots suddenly appeared in the dark water flow ahead. Bai Changxing immediately became vigilant and slowly approached to observe. After approaching, he realized that the group of light spots was actually a group of fish. But this group of fish is very mysterious, resembling a carp and the size of a palm, but their whole body is crystal clear and water blue, emitting a faint water blue divine light in the water. At the same time, they emit an amazing water spirit aura, giving Bai Changxing the feeling that these fish are like the source of water spirit aura. A fish is the source of a water spirit. This is Xuanshui. Bai Changxing's pupils narrowed and he quickly realized the essence of this group of fish. What kind of fish is this? It's clearly a group of water spirits. The so-dot called water spirit is the spirit of water. The essence of water spirit bred by heaven and earth can only be bred in the extremely rich water spirit vein. The shape is uncertain. It may be fish, other shapes or even dragon shape, but if it is dragon shape, it is dragon vein. As the saying goes, the beauty of Zhong Tian Di and the capture of the creation of Tian Di refer to the water spirit. Every water spirit is a water spirit, containing unimaginable water spiritual energy. If one can obtain it, taking it directly for refining can immediately increase their cultivation level. In addition, they can use water spirit as the foundation to create a spiritual cave and a blessed land, gathering the energy of water spirits from all directions. In addition, in contrast to water spirits, there are also earth spirits. Water spirits are nurtured from the water running spiritual veins, while earth spirits are nurtured from the earth spiritual veins. Their shapes are also unpredictable like water spirits, but they are easy to distinguish. That is, earth spirits are golden, such as the golden deer, golden pig, golden chicken, and so on that some people see in the mountains, often referring to earth spirits. But whether it is water spirit or earth spirit, they can be said to be priceless treasures, especially for cultivation. They are of immeasurable value. At this moment, in front of Bai Changsheng, there was actually a group of fish transformed by water spirits. 37 articles. Bai Changsheng briefly counted, and there were 30.7 fish transformed by this group of water spirits. 37 water spirit fish, any one of them is priceless treasure, if you get them all. Bai Changsheng's heartbeat accelerated uncontrollably, and his qi and blood surged. The temptation in front of him was too great. He tried to suppress the restless emotions in his heart, calm himself down, and then slowly cast a spell using water control to create an undercurrent in the water, surrounding the group of water spirits from all directions. Bai Changsheng plans to catch all of them in one go. The group of water spirit fish seemed oblivious, still swimming slowly in the water. Quickly, Bai Changsheng used his water control technique to create an undercurrent encirclement, which had already enveloped the entire group of water spirit fish. At this moment, Bai Changsheng could even hear his heartbeat clearly, and without hesitation, he cast a spell to gather the encirclement net. Collect. Buzzing, an invisible undercurrent suddenly rises in the water, forming a surrounding net that quickly envelopes the entire group of water spirit fish, instantly enveloping them. The result was at the moment when the encirclement net was closed. With a swoop, the entire school of fish transformed by the water spirit was suddenly startled and scattered, fleeing out. With a flick of his tail, Bai Changsheng meticulously used his water control technique to create an undercurrent net that seemed like nothing. In front of this group of water spirit fish, he broke through the undercurrent and ran out without even causing any obstruction to them. Bai Changsheng, who had originally thought of killing him all in one go, suddenly became foolish when he saw this. Immediately, Bai Changsheng quickly made another move, using his water control technique to the extreme to create a huge underwater vortex that rolled towards the fleeing water spirit fish. I thought to myself, since I can't catch this group, there shouldn't be any problem with a few. But the result once again made Bai Changsheng dumbfounded. The undercurrent vortex created by the water control technique has no obstruction at all to the fish transformed by these water spirits. With a gentle flick of their tail, they pass through directly. Are water spirits immune to water-based spells? At this point, Bai Changsheng finally saw the problem. This group of water spirit fish seemed to be completely immune to water control techniques, and using water control techniques to create undercurrent vortices could not affect them at all. Water escape technique. Bai Changsheng immediately gave up his water control technique and directly used his water escape technique to fully unleash his figure, shooting like a sharp arrow from the water and chasing the nearest water spirit fish. Since the water control technique cannot capture it, we can only do it ourselves. Under the full force of the water escape technique, Bai Changsheng's speed was extremely fast, almost rushing out for tens of meters in an instant, and he was about to catch up with the nearest water spirit fish. As a result, just as Bai Changsheng was about to catch up, his tail swung and slid into the mud loach, rushing 100 meters away. The speed is completely faster than Bai Changsheng. Bai Changsheng felt that the water spirit fish disappeared with just a blink of an eye, and if it reappeared, it would be 100 meters away. WDNMD. Bai Changsheng is foolish. Your grandfather's water magic immunity is all that matters, and his speed is even faster than him. Grab a hammer. At this moment, Bai Changsheng's mentality changed a bit, but he still didn't want to give up. After all, it was a water spirit. Even if he only caught one, it was a great creation for him. Who is willing to give up on this great creation that is presented before their eyes? Bai Changxing immediately used his water escape technique to charge towards another water spirit fish, and the result was. He only saw the tail of the water spirit fish swing again, and immediately distanced himself from him by tens of meters. Bai Changxing did not give up and continued to exert all his strength to activate the water escape technique. But after several hours, he didn't catch a single water spirit fish. The most infuriating thing is that this group of water spirit fish didn't run far and swam around this piece of water. If Bai Changxing didn't move, they wouldn't move much. But when Bai Changxing tried to get closer, their tails swayed and they could reach tens or even hundreds of meters away. Even one of the water spirit fish swam directly in front of Bai Changxing, as if mocking him specifically. I simply didn't take him seriously. No, I can't bear it anymore. Pump water. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Neighbors. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Neighbors. What is the most uncomfortable part of life? It's a bunch of fat placed in front of you, visible but not obtainable. The most infuriating thing is that these fat guys actually mock you. Bai Chang's liver was sore with anger, and he wished he could drain all the water here and slowly clean up these water spirit fish. Of course, let's just think about it. Leaving aside whether there is a pump, even if there are, it's estimated that there won't be thousands or even tens of thousands of units that can drain the water here. Forget it, those who cannot obtain it cannot be forced, and since these water spirits appear here, it undoubtedly confirms my speculation that there must be a water-running spiritual pulse at the source of this water flow. Only the water-running spiritual pulse can give birth to water spirits, and the nurtured water spirits will also live according to the spiritual pulse. Unless one day spiritual intelligence is activated, otherwise they will definitely not go far. As long as I don't go far, I have plenty of opportunities in the future. In the end, Bai Changxing calmed himself down and made sure that he couldn't catch these water spirits at all, so he immediately stopped doing useless work. Anyway, water spirits are nurtured by spiritual meridians and reside according to them. As long as the water-running spiritual meridian is always here, this group of water spirits cannot run far. They will have opportunities in the future, unless they have activated their spiritual intelligence and have independent thinking to run. But it is thousands of times more difficult for water spirits to activate their spiritual intelligence than ordinary fairies and ghosts, at least there is no need to think about it for thousands of years. As the saying goes, the way of heaven requires gains and losses. Although creatures like water spirits gather the spiritual beauty of heaven and earth, and seize the creation of heaven and earth, they can be called the spirits of heaven and earth. Once they activate their spiritual intelligence, their cultivation speed will be thousands of times faster than ordinary creatures, and their qualifications are beyond imagination. However, it is precisely because of this that water spirits and other celestial spirits find it extremely difficult and almost impossible to succeed in opening their spiritual intelligence. So Bai Changxing is not worried that these water spirits will suddenly activate their spiritual intelligence and run away in a short period of time. And as long as he doesn't run, he will have plenty of opportunities in the future, especially when his cultivation improves further. After calming down and making a decision, Bai Changxing immediately stopped waiting and gave up the idea of further exploration. For him, discovering this group of water spirit fish here today is enough. Moreover, with this group of water spirit fish, the water spiritual veins can be basically determined. Continuing to explore, he is worried that if he discovers something as good as the water spirit in front of him that can be seen but cannot be obtained, his heart will become even more congested. Well, an hour later, Bai Changxing returned to his spiritual cave, his white body slowly emerging from the water surface, while holding a giant fish nearly 2 meters long in his mouth. This fish is a giant fish caught by Bai Changxing in the depths of the water eye on his way back, intending to taste it and serve as today's food. Climbing out of the water and returning to the spiritual cave platform, Bai Changxing immediately rested while eating and began to eat this giant fish. This fish. At the entrance of the fish, Bai Changxing's mind instantly shook and he immediately realized the difference between this giant fish. Because he discovered that the flesh and blood of this giant fish contained spiritual energy, which could increase his cultivation. Although this spiritual energy was not very much, it was undoubtedly much better than the fish and shrimp he had preyed on in the river before. After all, one is fish meat that contains spiritual energy to increase cultivation, while the other is just ordinary fish meat that can fill the stomach. Even if the spiritual energy contained in the blood and flesh of this giant fish is not strong, if taken for a long time, over time, it will definitely increase Bai Changxing's cultivation speed by a significant amount. This can already be considered a spirit fish, comparable to ordinary fish. In addition, the taste of this giant spirit fish is also very good, delicious, and without any fishy smell, which may be due to the rich spiritual energy in the water eye being nourished by spiritual energy for a long time. Finally, the entire fish was consumed, and the spiritual energy contained in the flesh and blood was refined, roughly equivalent to Bai Changxing's half-day of hard cultivation. Later, Bai Changxing picked a few fruits from the fruit tree in the spiritual cave and took them down to assist digestion. There are many fruit trees in the spiritual cave, and there are more than 10 different types of forests. Peaches, plums, apricots, pears, grapes, and so on are all covered in branches, heavy. Moreover, the spiritual cave is like spring all year round, and these fruits bloom and bear fruit continuously throughout the year. Moreover, due to being nurtured by the water spiritual energy in the spiritual cave for a long time, these fruits have already contained spiritual energy, and can barely be called spiritual fruits, not ordinary fruits. If this spiritual cave can be transformed into a blessed land, it is not impossible for these fruit trees to completely evolve into spiritual roots. Continue to cultivate. In the following days, Bai Changxing's life once again entered a state of focused meditation, while daily using the giant spirit fish deep in the water eye and various spiritual fruits in the spiritual cave to supplement his practice. In this situation, Bai Changxing's cultivation is also improving at an extremely fast pace. In the blink of an eye, winter has passed and spring has arrived. More than half a year has passed, and Bai Changxing has been secretly practicing in his spiritual cave every day. His days are dull but fulfilling, and he has also traveled to this world for a whole year. After half a year of undercover training, Bai Changxing's cultivation has once again broken through, further advancing to the 7th level of Qi cultivation. At the same time, his body size has also increased again, reaching a length of 2 zhang. Bai Changxing discovered that with the acceleration of cultivation and breakthrough, his body size growth will also accelerate. At the same time, for more than half a year, Bai Changxing's mastery of water control and water escape techniques has become increasingly sophisticated, reaching a great level. Unfortunately, the speed still cannot catch up with those water spirit fish, and there is no way to deal with them. Because at the first moment after the breakthrough, Bai Changxing once again entered the depths of the water eye and tried to catch the group of water spirit fish for half a day, but it was still in vain. Bai Changxing felt that in order to catch those water spirit fish with speed, he probably had to cultivate to the 9th level of Qi cultivation to have some hope, and even break through the Qi cultivation realm. This is a bit uncomfortable, I can't see it. Well, in the deep and bottomless blue water pool below the Lingshui waterfall, a water column as thick and thin as a water tank rises up like a dragon absorbing water, reaching a height of more than 10 zhang before crashing down with a loud roar, causing high splashes and huge waves. Bai Changxing's massive body, measuring 2 zhang in length, hovered in the pool, practicing water control techniques. The entire Bai Shui Tan is incredibly huge, hundreds of meters wide and hundreds of meters deep, making it a natural place for him to practice water control and water escape techniques. For the past 6 months, apart from the time spent secretly practicing in the spiritual acupoints, Bai Changxing spent most of his time practicing spells in this green water pool. At the same time, with the Bai Shui Tan as the center, this place, which is dozens of miles away, has now completely become the territory of Bai Changxing. During this period, some spirits and ghosts that have activated their intelligence have come here, but after feeling Bai Changsheng's breath, they all consciously leave, except for one exception. Yeah. A loud and intimidating eagle cry sounded from above the high clouds, and then a huge black shadow was seen diving down from the clouds. That was a black eagle, but it was astonishingly large. Its wings spread out over a foot wide, and when it dived down from the clouds, it tore open a big hole in the clouds. The eagle's beak is like a hook, its claws are like sharp blades, emitting a chilling light in the sunlight. No one will doubt it. If it were bitten or scratched by a beak, even a copper wall and iron wall would have to be pierced. In an instant, Bai Changsheng's eyes lit up with a cold light. He looked up at the black eagle diving from the clouds in the sky, guarded. Without a doubt, it was definitely a black eagle that had already activated its spiritual intelligence to become a demon, and its strength was absolutely amazing. Just by looking at its size, one could guess one or two. This black eagle appeared in this area 3 months ago and often circled and preyed on it, obviously taking this area as its territory, including the Bishuatan where Bai Changsheng is located. At the same time, the black eagle had already discovered Bai Changsheng, and even launched an attack on him when he first discovered him, but was startled to retreat. In terms of single-round cultivation strength, Bai Changsheng feels that he and this giant eagle are about equal, but in terms of practical combat, both sides undoubtedly have their own strengths and weaknesses. If it were in the water, Bai Changsheng would undoubtedly be invincible from birth. Even if the black eagle dared to attack him, as long as he found the opportunity to pull the black eagle into the water, it would definitely die. However, on the contrary, if Bai Changsheng leaves the water and lands on the shore, this black eagle is undoubtedly the undisputed sky hegemon and will have an absolute advantage. As long as Bai Changsheng shows a slight flaw and is caught by it, he may end up dead. This black eagle. Bai Changsheng's gaze froze, and he felt a hint of killing intent towards the black eagle. The black eagle had already shown hostility and launched an attack the first time he saw it. If it was not resolved, it would definitely be a threat to him. At the same time, high above, the sharp eagle eyes of the black eagle were also fixed on Bai Changsheng in the blue water pool below, full of killing intent. Bai Changsheng sees it as a threat, and it also sees Bai Changsheng as a danger. Now, in just over 3 months, all threats within 100 miles have been eliminated by it, becoming its territory hunting ground. Only Bai Changsheng can still solve it, and it is the only existence that can threaten it. At the same time, it also had some envy for Bai Changsheng. It could feel that Bai Changsheng was extraordinary and not an ordinary snake demon. If it could kill and devour Bai Changsheng's essence and blood, it would definitely make great progress in cultivation and even break through the step-by-step Qi cultivation. At this point, the black eagle's gaze towards Bai Changsheng couldn't help but show a burning greed. But at this moment, Bai Changsheng's body is still lurking in the clear water pool, and he dare not easily launch an attack. In the end, the black eagle circled several times in the sky above the blue water pool and flew towards the distance. Bai Changsheng watched as the massive figure of the black eagle disappeared from the sky, his eyes flickering. At this moment, the turtle shell in his mind also bloomed with purple light, and a set of hexagrams slowly evolved. Part 6. Dragons fight in the wild, their blood is dark yellow. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Night Fighting. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Night Fighting. Bai Changsheng's gaze instantly froze and he stared closely at the newly evolved hexagram and line words of the turtle shell. This hexagram can be described as an inauspicious hexagram, and the meaning of the line words is often explained as the yin energy between heaven and earth has reached its peak, and it will inevitably decline in the future. This is the way of heaven, which is irreversible. When used on people, it can also refer to conflicts that are already inevitable and accompanied by bloodshed and danger. Dragon, referring to war, struggle, blood, bleeding, dangerous. Combined with the previous black eagle, the meaning of the turtle shell hexagram is self-evident. There must be a battle between Bai Changsheng and the black eagle, which is inevitable and may also be accompanied by the danger of bleeding. Is it inevitable? Bai Changsheng's mind couldn't help but flicker. Originally, he had thought that it would be a big deal to not cross the river with that black eagle. Anyway, he now has 3 points and 1 line deep in his spiritual cave, blue water pool, and water eye every day, and he doesn't need to go out for anything to practice every day. But as soon as this divination comes out, he has to consider finding an opportunity to eliminate the black eagle. Of course, we need to find opportunities. In the blink of an eye, more than half a month had passed, and it was nightfall. Yeah. A loud and intimidating cry of an eagle echoed through the sky and earth, making people feel horrified. It's the black eagle. In the spiritual cave, Bai Changsheng, who was closing his eyes and practicing, instantly opened his eyes and looked up through the wellhead above the spiritual cave. Suddenly, under the bright moonlight, a huge black shadow flashed through the sky. Although the black shadow only flashed by, Bai Changsheng could tell that it was the black eagle, and Bai Changsheng also instantly realized it. There is a situation. Since the appearance of the black eagle, it has been hunting during the day and rarely at night. Even if it occasionally appears at night, it mostly patrols the territory. However, the sound just now was clearly the sound of chasing prey, and the sound was clearly very happy. This is a situation that has never happened before. This black eagle has discovered something that makes it happy about its prey. Bai Changsheng crawled out of the spiritual cave and arrived at the entrance of the cave. He suddenly saw the huge figure of the black eagle hovering in the downstream direction of the river under the waterfall of the spiritual cave, clearly patiently pursuing something. Follow up. After a moment of contemplation, Bai Changsheng made a direct decision. From the hexagram of half a month ago, it can be seen that he and this black eagle are destined to have a life and death battle. Since this is the case, it naturally wants to seize all possible opportunities to take action. Although it is unclear what prey this giant eagle is chasing, it does not prevent it from following up to see if there is a chance to take action. Shua high above, the wind tore apart, and the massive figure of the black eagle circled at high speed in the night sky. A pair of sharp eagle eyes stared fixedly at the prey below, revealing an irresistible heat. The sharp beak and claws of the eagle shimmered with a cold glow under the moonlight. In the mountains and forests below, a blue figure swiftly shuttles through them, constantly using the trees, grass, and stones in the mountains as a cover to avoid chasing in the sky. That was a huge green snake, with a body as thick as a small bucket, over a foot long. The scales of the green snake shimmered with blue light under the moonlight. However, at this moment, the appearance of the green snake was very miserable, with multiple bloody wounds on its body, which seemed to be cut by some sharp blade. The longest wound was even more than a foot long, and the dense white bones inside its skin were exposed. The green snake fled desperately through the cover of the mountains and forests, with a look of anxiety and panic in its humanized eyes. It never expected that there would be such a natural enemy, the black eagle, in this forest. Yeah. In the high sky, the eagle's cry resounded, following the green snake calmly, like a cat playing a game mouse, allowing the green snake to flee desperately. But no matter how the green snake escapes, how can it climb on the ground compared to flying in the sky? So, one snake, one eagle, one escape, one chase, and so on. Almost half an hour passed. The green snake curled up and stopped in a mountain forest, posing in a defensive posture as it looked up at the black eagle hovering above its head. It also realized that continuing to escape like this was not a solution, and it could not shake off the giant eagle. The opponent flew in the air and looked down at the earth at a much faster speed than it did. Continuing to run would only waste its energy in vain. Once the stamina is exhausted, it is truly left to be slaughtered. In this situation, it is better to take advantage of the remaining stamina and fight against the black eagle to the death. Watching the green snake stop and the black eagle hover above, the two sides begin to confront each other. The body of the green snake was curled and its head was raised, with a pair of eyes fixed on the black eagle hovering above its head, fully alert. The black eagle also kept circling in search of opportunities. Finally, after half an hour of confrontation, the black eagle launched an attack. Shwa! Accompanied by a fierce sound of breaking through the air, the massive body of the black eagle suddenly plunged from high altitude, and at such a fast speed, the flesh could almost only see a black shadow like lightning. Puff! It was too fast, and the green snake hardly reacted. It only felt a flash of black shadow in its sight, and there were several bloody wounds on its back, with flesh and scales flying and accompanied by a burning pain. It was a scratch from a black eagle. Ow! The green snake let out an angry roar from its mouth, wishing to swallow the black eagle alive in one bite. But the successful black eagle had already flown high into the air again, giving the green snake no chance to attack itself. As the sky hegemon, the black hawk also knows that speed and air superiority are its absolute advantages. Otherwise, if it really wants to give the green snake a chance to be entangled and land on the ground, it will not have any advantage. In this case, it will naturally not give the green snake a chance to hit itself. Soon, the black hawk launched a second attack again. The same move was still used. It took advantage of its absolute speed and immediately flew into the air. Then there were the third, fourth, and fifth times play. This is pure play. The black eagle utilizes its absolute speed and sky dominance advantage. Every time an attack falls, the green snake will have several bloody wounds on its body, but it has no choice and its speed response cannot keep up. It can only emit an incompetent and furious roar, although the injuries caused by each attack of the black hawk are not fatal. As time passes and accumulates, the life of the green snake undoubtedly steps into the countdown bit by bit. Half an hour later, the body of the green snake was almost completely intact except for its head, covered in bloody wounds, and the flowing blood had infected its entire body. At this moment, the green snake finally lost its resistance completely. The injuries on its body, combined with the constantly flowing blood, made it lose even the strength to lift its head. Shwa! At this moment, the black eagle also fell from the high altitude and landed on the ground more than 10 zhang away from the green snake. The eagle's eyes teased and looked at the prey in front of it, which had completely lost its resistance. Although the green snake was not as strong as the white snake in the territory, its spiritual practice was also not weak. Its cultivation had reached the 7th level of Qi cultivation. As long as its whole body was refined with essence and blood, it was enough to save it 10 years of hard work. The green snake was panting weakly, with angry yet desperate eyes as it looked at the black eagle that had already landed in front of it. Now that the black hawk has landed on the ground, it is undoubtedly the best opportunity for it to attack, but unfortunately, it no longer has that ability. After the black eagle fell, it didn't rush to approach it. The green snake knew that it was waiting for the black eagle to completely stop breathing and prevent it from attacking before death. This made the green snake even more desperate. It did hold its breath and planned to fight back when the black eagle approached, but the black eagle was extremely vigilant and did not give it this opportunity. The black eagle stood leisurely on the ground, his eyes teasing as he looked at the green snake in front of him, waiting for it to completely suffocate. But at this moment, whoosh! 100 meters behind the black eagle in the forest, suddenly a white shadow flew out like lightning, taking the back of the giant eagle. Danger! The giant eagle also instantly changed its gaze and felt a crisis. In an instant, its wings spread out and it was about to fly. However, just as its wings opened and its body lifted off the ground, the white shadow that flew out from behind opened its mouth and spat out. In an instant, a huge water arrow flew straight out of the giant eagle's back. The attack power of the water arrow is not strong, but it is more than enough to hinder the giant eagle's takeoff, and at the same time, the eagle's feathers are completely soaked by the exploded water arrow. This also directly killed me. Because the feathers get wet, it directly prevents the giant eagle from taking off again immediately. At this moment, the white shadow behind had already flown up, and it was a huge white snake that was 2 zhang long, even larger in size than the green snake. At the same time, this white snake was very different, with 2 crystal clear horns on its head, and a pair of silver eyes emitting a cold and intimidating light. The black eagle's pupils contracted violently and his heart was shocked. He suddenly recognized the white snake, who was not exactly the one in the territory. It is Bai Changsheng. With a single strike, Bai Changsheng was a sure kill. After successfully interrupting the giant eagle's takeoff, he pounced on it like lightning and wrapped it around, then exerted all his strength. Hanging. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Green Snake. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Green Snake by Changsheng was as fast as lightning. Although not in the water, his full burst speed was still astonishing. With lightning speed, he had already wrapped himself around the black eagle, and his whole body immediately exerted force. Cluck cluck, a crisp and forceful tightening sound suddenly sounded. Yay! The black eagle roared loudly, vigorously flapping its huge wings as it struggled. Finally, a look of panic appeared in its eyes, but now on the ground, it was entangled and strangled by Bai Changsheng, losing all its advantages as the sky hegemon. It would be extremely difficult to break free, even if its cultivation was even higher than Bai Changsheng's. As the saying goes, one step at a time is wrong. If the black eagle doesn't land easily, Bai Changsheng naturally has no way to deal with it. He even has to hide from it on the shore to prevent it from discovering it. Even if it's not so careless and a little vigilant, it's probably more than that. But unfortunately, there was no such thing as if. It was also the black eagle's own carelessness. After the green snake completely lost its combat power, he thought everything was under control, but to his surprise, the praying mantis was catching cicadas, and the yellow sparrow Bai Changsheng was behind. The wings of the black eagle could no longer flutter, as they were tightly entangled by Bai Changsheng's body. Puff! The black eagle struggled to the death, unable to move its wings, and then used its beak to crazily grow white. The sharp beak quickly opened its flesh and shed blood. Bai Changsheng felt pain while eating, and under the stimulation of the pain, his eyes suddenly showed a fierce light. He seized the opportunity to bite the back of the black eagle's neck. The black eagle let out a cry of surprise and struggled fiercely, especially with a pair of sharp claws that were as sharp as knives, frantically grabbing at Bai Changsheng's body, wanting to tear him apart with their claws. Bai Changsheng's body length is not enough, he can only wrap around the upper and middle parts of his body, including the wings of the black eagle, and cannot wrap around his lower body and legs. Pushi, quickly, crimson blood flowed from Bai Changsheng's tail and was caught by the eagle's claws of the black eagle. Its sharp claws pierced directly into the flesh and blood of Bai Changsheng's tail, wanting to tear his entire tail apart. The piercing pain instantly came from the tail, and Bai Changsheng also became fierce, biting the mouth of the black eagle's neck and the body wrapped around its body with even more force. Cluck cluck, the body and bones of the black eagle began to clatter and snap. It is also the amazing strength of this black eagle, and its body bones are incredibly hard. Otherwise, if it were for other creatures, even a cow, its body bones would have already been strangled by Bai Changsheng. The sharp claws of the black eagle piercing into the white long tail also exerted more force. A snake and an eagle froze like this. At this moment, the green snake, who was already on the brink of death on the side, rushed forward with all its might upon seeing this scene. Its massive body wrapped around the legs of the giant eagle, using all its strength. The standoff with Bai Changsheng had already exhausted all the strength of the black eagle, and at this moment it could still withstand the strangulation of the green snake. At the moment when the green snake wrapped around the legs of the black eagle and exerted force, Bai Changsheng suddenly felt that the strength of the black eagle's resistance against him had weakened significantly. Bai Changsheng immediately seized the opportunity and twisted his body with force. Click! The crisp sound of bone fracture rang out, and the sternum of the black eagle's upper body couldn't withstand being strangled by Bai Changsheng. Next, it's like a flood breaking the embankment. Click, click, click like frying beans, the black eagle's resistance gradually weakened, and its bones began to break inch by inch. The entire massive body was reduced at a visible speed to the naked eye. In the end, accompanied by a mournful cry of unwillingness, the black eagle completely breathed a sigh, and its neck was twisted by Changsheng's bite. Bang! After strangling the black eagle, the green snake's body instantly collapsed weakly on the ground and fainted on the spot. At the beginning, it was already running out of fuel and running out of lights. Later, it rushed forward to help Changsheng strangle the black eagle, which could be said to have relied entirely on willpower. Now, with the death of the black eagle without the support of willpower, it naturally fainted on the spot. Upon hearing the sound, Changsheng looked at the green snake and pondered for a moment. He still took a sip of spiritual energy and saved its life. After all, he had just helped himself, and he was also considered a close relative. At the same time, Changsheng also noticed that the green snake was a beautiful mother snake. As the saying goes, a person has a human face, and a snake has a snake-like image. In terms of the snake statue, the green snake in front of me is undoubtedly outstanding, exquisite and cool. In the future, if I can break through the realm of Qi cultivation and transform into a human, I will definitely be a stunning beauty. I'm going too far. After taking action to save the life of the green snake, Changsheng temporarily ignored it and turned to look at the body of the black eagle to extract its essence and blood. The strength of this black eagle is astonishing, and its cultivation level may have reached the 9th level of Qi cultivation. If it were not for the careless landing that gave Changsheng an opportunity to take advantage of, Changsheng would definitely have no way to deal with it. At the same time, the bloodline of this black eagle seems to be extraordinary, mostly not an ordinary eagle. Extracting the essence and blood from the black hawk's body, Changsheng glanced at the still unconscious green snake and thought for a moment before dividing a small portion of the essence into the snake's mouth. Otherwise, with the injuries of the green snake, even if he helped to save his life, it would not be easy to recover entirely on his own. Gudong, the essence and blood spit out, and the green snake instinctively swallowed it, and then its body began to instinctively absorb and refine it. As the essence and blood are refined and absorbed, the breath of the green snake slowly recovers and stabilizes, improving at a visible speed to the naked eye. Upon seeing this, Changsheng no longer hesitated and swallowed most of the remaining essence and blood in one gulp, beginning to operate the Xuanshui Jing to absorb it. The essence and blood of this black eagle are incredibly majestic. Even if a small part is given to the green snake, the remaining part is several times the essence and blood of the alligator dragon demon that Changsheng killed last time. It took Changsheng an hour to refine and absorb all the essence and blood of the giant eagle, which directly improved his cultivation. If his cultivation was in the early stage of the 7th layer of Qi cultivation before, then now his cultivation has reached the late stage of Qi cultivation. This kind of improvement, even at his current cultivation speed, would normally require more than a year of hard work. No wonder many monsters like to eat other monsters and even humans. Compared to self-cultivation, the speed of directly taking and devouring the essence and blood of other monsters is much faster. As for humans, as all beings, even ordinary people, their essence and blood are not weaker than ordinary monsters, and their targets are large and easy to find. Moreover, ordinary monsters often do not have advanced cultivation techniques or spiritual holes, so the cultivation speed is even faster. Changsheng has the most say in this because it is how it came about. If we follow the cultivation speed of Changsheng before finding the spiritual acupoint in the Xuanshui classic, the refined black eagle essence and blood at this moment may be equivalent to his decades of hard work. In this situation, the result can be imagined: how many monsters can resist this temptation? However, this method is too harmful to Tianhe and ultimately not the right path, so besides adhering to the principle of not wasting when killing enemies, everything else is definitely not acceptable. After refining and absorbing essence and blood, Changsheng immediately opened his eyes. The wounds on his body that had been scratched by the black eagle's beak during the battle had also stopped bleeding and began to heal automatically. Thank you. At this moment, Qianlong had also awakened and saw Bai Changsheng wake up, thanking her. Thanks to the drop of essence and blood that Bai Changsheng had just given her, her body had recovered a lot and she had barely regained her mobility. You are welcome. Upon hearing this, Bai Changsheng smiled and realized that as the saying goes, humans speak and snakes speak, they are all creatures that have developed spiritual intelligence. Naturally, the two can also communicate with each other. Speaking of which, Bai Changsheng felt that he still had to thank the green snake tonight. If it weren't for the green snake, he wouldn't have had such a good chance to get rid of this black eagle. Qianlong looked at Bai Changsheng with her gaze. Although it was only the first time she had seen him, she saw that Bai Changsheng, like her, was a snake. Although Bai Changsheng was a bit strange and had 2 horns on his head, everyone was a snake. They were all very spirited and extraordinary, with a gentle breath that made her feel comfortable. Moreover, she had just saved herself, and suddenly felt an indescribable liking for Bai Changsheng. She was eager to approach him. Can I come with you? Upon hearing this, Bai Changsheng couldn't help but be taken aback. He unexpectedly looked at the green snake and didn't expect it to suddenly say such a sentence. Is it so direct? At this moment, the purple turtle shell in Bai Changsheng's mind suddenly burst into a divine light, and the hexagram evolved, quickly giving rise to a new one. 92. Leading and restoring, good luck. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. First hearing of the heavenly court. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. First hearing of the heavenly court, 92. Leading and restoring, good luck. This translates to bringing it back, G. Simple and rough. Bai Changsheng suddenly had a feeling of being stuck in his heart and not knowing how to vomit. However, since the turtle shell has already given such a hexagram, Bai Changsheng naturally does not need to consider it further. Moreover, the green snake can barely be considered his own kind. Although he is a cobra and different from ordinary snakes, he can only be considered a snake until he successfully transforms into a dragon. Come with me. Bai Changsheng immediately nodded slightly to the green snake and spoke, then turned back to the direction of the spiritual cave. The green snake immediately followed suit, and at the same time, a suspended heart completely relaxed and settled down. Although her life was saved, she was still severely injured and weak, with no strength left. In this situation, acting alone would undoubtedly be a dangerous thing. Once discovered by other monsters, there would be a risk of her life. Being with Bai Changsheng in this situation is undoubtedly the safest thing. And even if the injury recovers in the future and we can be together with Bai Changsheng, the combination of the two will be much safer in this dangerous and unpredictable mountain. What's your name? On the way, Bai Changsheng spoke up and asked the green snake. I don't have a name, other monsters call me Green Snake Spirit. The green snake replied, although these mountain spirits and monsters have activated their spiritual intelligence, they are basically not educated, let alone given names. They are basically just randomly chosen based on their species, and the common ones are certain spirits and certain demons. It's too hard to hear. Bai Changsheng couldn't help roast, and then opened his mouth. Why don't I give you a name? How about calling you Xiaoqing in the future? Xiaoqing. Qingsha's eyes lit up, and she felt that this name sounded much better than the Qingxi Jing, who had been called by other monsters before. Moreover, she always had an indescribable sense of familiarity with this name, as if she should have called it herself. She couldn't help but exclaim with joy, okay, then I'll call myself Xiaoqing from now on. And what about you, what's your name? Changsheng, Bai Changsheng. Then I will call you Changsheng in the future. By the way, Changsheng, how did you just appear? The Black Eagle's territory coincided with my place of residence. They had attacked me before, but I was startled to retreat. During this time, we have been in a hostile and guarded state. It wanted to kill me, and I also wanted to get rid of it. Just as I heard the commotion, I followed along and saw you. So it's like this, then it's really thanks to you, otherwise I would have died tonight. The green snake couldn't help but feel grateful. How did you get into a fight with that black eagle? Bai Changsheng also immediately inquired. I escaped from the south, and a transformed monster appeared in the south. The green snake also told Bai Changsheng the reason, but it did not originally reside in this area, but escaped from the southern mountains and forests. Because a transformed monster appeared in the southern mountains and forests, she was worried and fled this way. However, she did not expect to be discovered by the black eagle after arriving here. This is a spiritual cave, you live here. Half an hour later, when he returned to his spiritual cave, he felt the amazing water spiritual energy in it. The green snake couldn't help but be shocked and looked at Bai Changsheng, never expecting that Bai Changsheng's residence was actually a spiritual cave. Make a big fuss. Bai Changsheng thought to himself, but he still responded with a nod, and then picked some spiritual fruits from the fruit tree in his spiritual cave and placed them in front of the green snake. Your injury is quite serious. Let's take some of these to heal it first. It's good for you, and I'll go grab some late-night snacks and come back. After speaking, Bai Changsheng dived into the water and into the water eye. The green snake looked at Bai Changsheng's disappearing water eye position with blinking eyes, and its large eyes were filled with question marks. Half an hour later, Bai Changsheng returned and brought back 2 giant fish that were over 1 meter long. They were the giant spiritual fish deep in the spiritual cave, one filling the stomach of the green snake and the other serving as a late-night snack for himself. Let's eat. Place the smaller one in front of the green snake, and Bai Changsheng opened his mouth to eat it himself. Unlike ordinary snakes that swallow food in one bite, Bai Changsheng bites and also has teeth. Taking one bite, blood splattered and the taste was delicious. The taste of this giant spirit fish is really delicious, which makes Bai Changsheng never tire of eating. Perhaps it is the reason why he has been nourished by the water spirit for a long time. If we use this giant spirit fish to barbecue with some chili and cumin, it will definitely be even more delicious. Thinking about Bai Changsheng, he couldn't help but drool a bit. He was very fond of cooked food, especially barbecue. I couldn't help but secretly make up my mind, even for the sake of stuttering, I had to work hard to cultivate and break through the Qi cultivation realm as soon as possible. Seeing Bai Changsheng start eating, the green snake immediately stopped hesitating and started eating. Moreover, she was indeed hungry. She had escaped all the way and didn't eat much, but when she arrived here, she was discovered and chased by the black eagle, which can be described as tragic. This fish. However, when the fish was eaten, the green snake suddenly felt extraordinary. The flesh and blood of this fish contained spiritual energy, which was very thin but definitely extraordinary. And the fruits in this spiritual cave also contained spiritual energy in their flesh, surpassing ordinary fruits. If placed outside, whether it's these fruits or fish, they are definitely of extraordinary value. But all of these, Bai Changsheng surprisingly gave them to himself without any concealment. Qingxi couldn't express this feeling, but she felt warm in her heart and seemed a bit sweet. In the following days, the green snake also stayed with Bai Changsheng in the spiritual cave. Bai Changsheng didn't feel any discomfort either. Instead, he felt a bit more restless and no longer alone in everything he did, feeling a sense of loneliness. In the depths of his heart, Bai Changsheng actually longs for a companion around him instead of being alone. And since the hexagram of the turtle shell indicates that bringing back the green snake is an auspicious hexagram, the green snake must have some outstanding qualities that he is currently unaware of, which is beneficial to himself. Therefore, he is completely at ease with the green snake. On the second day, Bai Changsheng also taught the Xuanshui Jing to the green snake. Like Bai Changsheng in the past, Qingxi has not practiced any advanced cultivation techniques to this day. Everything relies on the instinctive absorption of heaven and earth spiritual energy after activating spiritual intelligence. After receiving the Xuanshui Jing, taught by Bai Changsheng, her cultivation efficiency has greatly improved, and she is also in a water spirit cave. However, the green snake is ultimately not a dragon species, unlike Bai Changsheng, who is naturally compatible with the water path and all water attribute techniques, and can achieve twice the result with half the effort when practicing. Although green snake can also cultivate water attribute techniques and has decent talent, compared to white Changsheng, it is far behind. Of course, compared to Bai Changsheng, compared to Qingsha's previous cultivation, the speed of practicing the Xuanshui classic has naturally been greatly improved, at least several times. Time flies quickly, especially during cultivation, and in the blink of an eye, more than a month has passed. In the early summer sunshine, the clear water pool shimmered with ripples, and Bai Changsheng's massive body, which was 2 zhang long, floated and sank on the water surface, practicing water control and water escape techniques as usual. Qingxi is also practicing water control and water escape not far away, but unfortunately, she has not yet started. After practicing for an hour, Bai Changsheng slowly climbed onto the grass by the shore and began to lazily enjoy sunbathing. At this moment, the green snake in the water also swam up, its head leaned towards him, its body wrapped around his body, and its tail wrapped around his tail. Twisting and friction, you are taking advantage of me again. Bai Changsheng turned around and looked at the green snake in silence. After spending more than a month getting to know each other thoroughly, the green snake became more daring towards him and began to take advantage of him. Every time he saw him resting, he would take the initiative to grind tofu. The green snake entwined around Bai Changsheng's body and rubbed against him. Bai Changsheng simply closed his eyes and lay flat, allowing the green snake to grind at will. He asked with his mouth. You said that the heavenly court governs the 3 realms. End of this chapter.